Sea urchins are not only delicious and highly reproductive, they also play an important role in our aquatic ecosystems. There are 950 different species of sea urchins globally, with approximately 18 edible varieties. In Australia, three main types of sea urchins are harvested for food: purple or short-spined sea urchins, long-spined sea urchins, and red sea urchins. Purple sea urchins are native to Australia and are found along the coastal waters of South Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, Tasmania, South Australia, and Western Australia. They are typically found in diving depths of up to 10 meters, but can also be found in waters as deep as 35 meters. Long-spined sea urchins are most commonly found in the southeastern part of Australia, from South Queensland to Tasmania. Red sea urchins are distributed from South Queensland to South New South Wales. The best time for harvesting is during late spring to early summer at low tide. You can wade in the water and collect sea urchins from rocks. If you have a breathing apparatus and a mask, you can dive and pry them off with a knife. Due to their sharp spines, it is important to wear gloves and exercise caution. Harvesting should only be done in calm waters and with great care to avoid being washed away or pricked on rocks. Having a good understanding of the ocean is crucial. Despite appearing almost impenetrable, sea urchins are actually quite easy to access, with just a few spoons and some clever techniques. There are tools available in the market specifically designed to open sea urchins, but if you do not plan on harvesting and using them frequently, you can manage with 2 spoons and a few bowls of ice water. Sea urchin roe can be easily extracted by holding the sea urchin vertically, pressing 1 spoon on the top and placing the other spoon back to back to form a pointed tip. Apply enough pressure to crack open the shell, then join the 2 spoons together and carefully pry open the shell to scoop out the contents into a bucket. You will see the orange-yellow roe along the edge of the sea urchin shell. Place a small teaspoon behind the roe and gently scoop it out. The roe is very delicate, so take your time and handle it carefully to keep it intact. Rinse the roe in the first bowl of ice water, then soak it in the second bowl for 1 to 2 minutes before transferring it to a plate to dry. It is best to process the harvested sea urchins on the same day and store them on damp paper towels. For maximum flavor and nutrition retention, it is best to consume them on the same day. However, if stored below 3 degrees Celsius, the roe can be preserved for up to 4 days. Although the roe can be frozen, it will affect its texture and flavor. The roe has a creamy texture with a fresh oceanic flavor and can be consumed raw or cooked. The simplest way to enjoy it is raw with a little lemon and soy sauce. The roe is versatile, rich in flavor, and can be used in sushi, added to pasta, or made into butter for various seafood dishes like garlic shrimp. Eating sea urchins not only introduces new flavors and textures to your taste buds, but also plays a crucial role in balancing coastal ecosystems. You will notice the remaining orange-yellow spots on the edge of the sea urchin shell. In recent years, sea urchins have become very popular here. We can hardly keep them in aquariums because people come from all over to buy the orange-yellow spots in sea urchins, like edible gold in the ocean. I mean, look at this person from Los Angeles above. He is a happy customer. So you might ask, why are sea urchins so special? The experience of eating live sea urchins is completely different from sushi sea urchins. As the Sushi FAQ states, the highest-priced fresh sea urchins are those taken directly from live sea urchins. It's worth experiencing because these fresh sea urchins are significantly different from sea urchins processed 24 hours later. Eating live sea urchins is a completely different experience. Just crack them open, rinse, and enjoy. The texture and taste are better. It's hard to describe the taste of sea urchins to someone who has never tasted them. Asking people about their feelings usually gives us some clues. Most people would say it tastes like pure deep sea or has a delicious sweetness. I know this doesn't say much about its actual taste, but everyone agrees it's delicious. The experience of eating live sea urchins is dramatic. The spines are still moving when the sea urchin is cracked open. Yes, that's right. They are still moving when you want to eat them. If you don't believe it, take a look at this. It may sound gross, but what other food can still be moving while you eat it? Yes, we admit it sounds a bit strange, but it's actually quite fascinating. In fact, sea urchins can move for over 30 minutes after being opened. Furthermore, expect this exotic delicacy to become a social topic. People around you will have various curiosities about it, so be prepared because sea urchins make you meet new friends. Meeting new friends is always fun, right? So don't hesitate to try live sea urchins next time you have the chance. You might like them. Green sea urchins have recently become one of the most valuable resources in Maine. Sea urchin roe is a delicacy in European, Japanese, and some native markets in the northeastern United States. The Japanese market has driven rapid growth in the fishery. The success of fishermen is due to abundant resources, favorable exchange rates between the yen and the dollar, and the development of fishing and processing techniques that meet the quality requirements of the Japanese market. Given the distance and demand for high-quality products, whether this market is sustainable and which fishing practices are most conducive to resource sustainability are questions we will face in the coming years. As this new fishery tests the limits of resources, sea urchin harvesting has been present in Maine for many years. But before 1985, the harvest was limited to about 45 tons, only enough to supply native markets in Boston and New York. Starting in 1987, the harvest increased significantly, reaching nearly 12,000 tons by 1992, with a market value exceeding $26 million. The value of the harvest increased from less than $50,000 before 1987 to nearly $15 million in 1990. Preliminary harvest data from 1993 indicates a harvest of about 15,000 tons. The highest quality sea urchin roe is typically found in relatively shallow subtidal waters with dense distributions, usually at depths of about 40 feet. The most common harvesting methods involve small bottom trawls or water diving. Bubble pumps or water pumps can also be used. Diving is mainly done on the west coast due to less tidal flow compared to the east coast. Diving teams typically consist of one or more divers, a float, and an operator. Divers collect roe from the seabed and place it in net bags, which the operator then pulls up and empties into buckets on the deck. The person on deck is responsible for continuously checking the quality of sea urchins. In areas where diving is not possible, sea urchins are harvested using trawls. Generally, trawls can cause greater damage, but may result in damaged sea urchins and lower quality. Small, lightweight trawls are typically used for short 5-minute trawls to minimize damage. The quality of sea urchin roe varies greatly, depending largely on the season and the habitat of the sea urchins. Sea urchins feed primarily on kelp, and sea urchins that feed on kelp produce the highest quality roe. Successful harvesting is not just about picking sea urchins. Most high-quality sea urchins are found on the so-called supply line, a narrow bottom area directly below the kelp bed. The ideal harvesting method is to extract high-quality sea urchins from the supply line, allowing other sea urchins to enter the main feeding area to develop high-quality roe for subsequent harvesting. Marketable sea urchins are available year-round, but most sea urchins reproduce from November to March, with the peak breeding season in early spring. At this time, the reproductive tissues are most suitable for commercial harvesting. Sea urchin spines are very fragile before the roe actually forms, so care must be taken during harvesting, especially when pulling. These spines are part of their skeleton, and damaged spines can allow seawater to enter the shell, damaging the preserved roe. Since 1987, the number of sea urchin harvesters has significantly increased because they can be harvested in relatively shallow waters with basic shallow water equipment and at attractive prices. To date, the market seems able to absorb all the high-quality sea urchins that can be harvested. Until January 1991, the exact number of sea urchin harvesters could only be estimated because at that time, only a general commercial harvesting permit was required. Starting from January 1, 1992, a special permit from the Department of Marine Resources was required to harvest sea urchins. Handheld harvesting permits, or vessel harvesting permits, were priced at $89 in 1992.
In 1992, 887 handheld harvesting permits and 232 vessel harvesting permits were issued, while in 1993, there were 1,439 handheld harvesting permits and 568 vessel harvesting permits. Japanese people are very fond of sea urchin roe. The orange-yellow reproductive organs of sea urchins can be sold at high prices in the Tokyo fish market. Domestic Japanese fishing is far from enough to meet the demand, so they import sea urchin roe from around the world. Since the 1970s, markets in California and British Columbia have been very active, targeting several sea urchin species for harvesting, including red sea urchins, purple sea urchins, and green sea urchins. As the populations on the West Coast decrease, the focus of harvesting has shifted to the abundant green sea urchins in Maine and Canadian waters. The key to the sea urchin roe market lies in quality. This is not a general statement, but involves very specific standards: freshness, exact color, exact weight, and product preparation. The Maine market only started when representatives from Japan came to Maine to explain the conditions that would meet their market demands. Even today, many Maine processors employ Japanese people to oversee production. Caviar is graded by color, and each buyer may have unique standards. Caviar colors range from bright yellow to orange and then to gray, but light yellow is considered the highest grade, followed by light orange. Different parts of the Japanese market have their preferences for different shades of yellow. The Maine Cooperative Extension Service, in collaboration with the Maine Department of Marine Resources, has developed a color and weight chart to help buyers, dealers, and harvesters discuss the quality of sea urchin roe. The weight of caviar is measured by the weight of the entire sea urchin. The best weight percentage range is between 10% and 20%, but higher percentages are usually paid. Generally, 10% is the minimum acceptable ratio. In recent years, with increasing demand, some dealers have accepted sea urchins with very low percentages. A 10% ratio means that 1,000 sea urchins are needed to produce 100 products. There are approximately 56 local places along the Maine coast where sea urchins can be purchased, but most sea urchins are only sold to a few large dealers, mainly located in the Portland area. There are two methods for processing sea urchins. One is to air freight whole sea urchins to Japan, and the other is to extract the roe in a factory and air freight it to Japan. The advantage of the first method is simplicity, with minimal labor and handling, while the second method has lower air freight costs but requires careful handling, more manpower, and carries a higher risk of rejection in Japan. With advances in processing technology, many large dealers now export roe to Japan. There is currently no scientific path regarding the size of sea urchin populations along the Maine coast or the optimal harvesting levels required to optimize sea urchin roe production. As expected, opinions on this issue range from vast, untapped resources to imminent depletion. The video ends. Don't forget to like, share, and follow. See you in the next video.